You do gotta make sure that you can be heard on this thing, though.
Oh, well, how do I know if I'm heard?
You gotta speak up.
Hello.
Do you want to try it? You want to try the start?
What do I say?
I usually have like a cold open, like a quick hook to get them interested, and then.
I got it.
All right, go for it.
Marriage. Oh shoot, I don't remember the rest.
We've been married 5 years, 1 month, and 9 days. And today we're going to talk about the things they didn't tell us about marriage. Alright, what's going on, everybody? How's it going? It's DJ here with Creators Therapy, and today I have a really special guest with me. This is my wife.
Hi, I'm Kirsten, his wife.
With Creators Therapy.
With Creators Therapy.
So, we've been married for a little over 5 years now, and over the years, we like to think that we have come to learn a few things that they did not tell us before we got married, and they told us a lot. So here are a few things that we have learned about marriage since being married for 5 years. So, first thing, let's talk about grocery shopping. Now, this may not seem like a very serious issue, but believe you me, it is. Do you remember the first time that we went shopping for groceries?
I can't forget it. Very overwhelming. 2 different types of grocery lists in our mind.
You feel too short?
Yeah, I've been saying that this whole time.
Okay. One of the first things that really became apparent to us whenever we were getting used to being married, like in the first few weeks and months, was our grocery shopping habits. I shopped like a single dude living in a dorm room, which up to that point I pretty much was. You were a bit more healthier than I.
So there were the expectations as far as what I was hoping for, but it was not voiced because living just on my own, I was able to purchase whatever I wanted. I didn't have to consult somebody. We don't have a lot of money. So our first grocery shopping experience in the first week, I guess, of us being married became so stressful and overwhelming. We left the entire cart in the middle of an aisle. We were courteous enough to put back things like eggs,
all the
meat,
perishables,
vegetables, things like that. But everything else, cereal, we left it in aisle 13.
Oh yeah, we definitely left a whole cart of groceries. Actually, we just kind of like pushed it and then ran out as quickly as we could.
Spun on our heels and
yeah, very overwhelming experience. Another thing that we learned about our grocery shopping habits actually happens to be like the different kinds of bread that we.
That's still an issue.
Still an issue. We still buy 2 different kinds of bread.
He calls my bread birdseed bread.
It is birdseed bread. There's seeds all in it. It's crunchy.
And he likes white bread, which is just disgusting.
It's, Trader Joe's is organic. Spending money on groceries is definitely something that's really important to make sure that you budget for, which is really handy because that leads us into our second thing that no one really talked to us about, which was budgeting. I didn't really budget all through college, to be honest with you. I really didn't have the discipline to budget. I just bought what was cheap or what was easy, and a lot of times that was frozen food or eating takeout. Definitely visited Taco Bell way too often. I still do. I still visit Taco Bell quite a bit. But one of the things that we had a hard time at first getting a big handle on was budgeting.
Yeah, that's a big one. A lot of, what's the statistic as far as a lot of marriages end or really suffer and struggle due to financial strain. And so I always thought I had a good head on my shoulders when it came to money and budgeting, but then I got married and realized I probably had no clue, and I certainly didn't have a clue when it came to somebody else who was essentially spending the money I brought home, and I was spending the money that he brought home. So there's a lot to learn there, and learn who's a saver, who's a spender. So that was a big hurdle we had to overcome.
Yeah, budgeting is definitely a large stressor, especially when it comes to your marriage relationship. You have different habits, you have different ways of spending money, and whenever you combine lives, like getting married, you're also combining a lot of different habits, and budgeting and money spending is one of those habits, and it's definitely one that takes time to develop on your own. You know what works for you, your partner knows what works for them. Now you just have to take the time to learn what works for the both of you. One of the things that we didn't really get to talk about too much, and I don't know if it was just because our premarital person felt awkward about it, or we felt awkward about it, or probably maybe both. But one of the things that we didn't really get to address too much in our premarital, and this is something that I would suggest that you really pay attention to or listen to, or make sure that whoever's doing your premarital counseling, if that's something that you choose to do, really talks through with you. And that is intimacy. Intimacy is one of those things that it's another one of those things that takes time to learn. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that we are still learning is just no, I mean the
I am not a cuddler. I don't like to cuddle. I don't like a lot of touching. DJ is very affectionate, but it's just an understanding of each other's intimacy and different love languages. But that is something about intimacy, so obviously we're talking more than just about cuddling or holding hands. There's a lot more to intimacy than we are addressing, and so that is something that needs to be talked about before you even get married. It's just something that needs to be addressed as far as what you're comfortable with. He wants to cuddle.
So we'll definitely do another video further down the line about intimacy within marriage. But just for the purposes of this video and stuff that we didn't get to address or that people really didn't talk to us in depth about, intimacy is one of those
nobody
things.
Wants to because it's awkward. But
yeah,
it's supposed to be talked about.
It's not as awkward for me anymore because I've seen enough
Who
married
cares?
couples and talked about it enough now with other people. But then,
we all know it happens.
Another thing that people really didn't talk too much to us about or really help us to anticipate was honestly just how difficult marriage can be. We'll go a lot further than just to talk about how, oh yeah, it's work and it's hard and yada yada. You've heard all that before. You probably know all that already. But one of the things that I think that people don't really go into too much depth about, or something that I address with clients and that we've experienced ourselves, is just the level of sacrifice, the level of how much it is no longer about you. Marriage is the ultimate example of life not being about you. I know that for me personally, I didn't really realize how selfish I actually was. I considered myself a pretty unselfish person, but I didn't realize how selfish I can be until I got married. You've lived your whole life one way. You know how you like to do things. You know what your routine is. And now you're in a new situation, a new dynamic, positions you to learn a new way and figure out the way that you both do things.
So marriage is definitely a sacrifice. It teaches you to be humble, whether you want to learn that or not. It's something that will help you become a better human being, which in the end helps you become a better spouse and a better friend and just a better marriage and partnership. So it definitely helps you be humble and pushes you towards that goal. It will teach you to relinquish control of a lot of things, and it allows for both you and your partner to be able to critique each other in hopefully a respectful and healthy way, and that will help make you a more humble individual, which in the end will result in a happier marriage and friendship, partnership, and team overall.
So one of the last things that we'll talk about, and I think that this is something that people can get bogged down with the cookie cutter ideas, and that this is on your list and this is on my list, and just kind of get bogged down with who does what around the house or who does what in the relationship. When in reality, some of the roles and some of the things, some of the chores that you do around the house, or some of the jobs that you may have within the relationship, is kind of fluid, honestly. Like you both end up doing some of the same work. One of the things that kind of caught me off guard whenever we were first married was I was doing some of the things that I didn't really expect to be doing all the time, I guess. Not to say that, I felt like I was doing like women's work or whatever, like, yeah. But definitely felt like maybe this was something that I was going to be doing less of because we were going to be doing other things together. But I think in all of that, you learned some of your strengths and some of your growth areas. I like to cook. I definitely cook most of the meals for us, and not that I expected her to cook, but there's definitely times it becomes less of a conversation about whose job is it and more about who's got the time, who's got the availability, and who's home first. I know whenever we first got married, things looked a lot different than they do right now. Just whenever we first got married, I was in school all the time. I was gone most of the day. So there would be a lot of times that Kirsten would work all day and then come home and then take care of some of the house stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I work, full-time job at an office and running around town, and so DJ's job is a little bit more flexible, where he's able to work from home and as a freelancer, and so it's a little bit not necessarily easier but more understood that because I'm out of the house and I don't get home until a certain hour, it's sort of a not expectation, but I think it's something that was communicated early on, just who has the availability to do this. It's not an expectation, you're the man, you're the woman, none of that, not husband or wife. It's just who can today. There are times where DJ is out and about and he won't get home till 9 at night or later. Yeah, even though I'm working at an office all day, I'll get home and I'm not gonna expect him to cook something at 9:30 or 10. So it's just a matter of picking up the weight where you see it necessary, because you are a team and you learn each other's strengths and weaknesses. And like he said, he's a much better cook than I am, so he does it and he does it well, and I appreciate that. I think there's some things that I do too, like making sure the bills get paid on time. But there are things that maybe you're married to an accountant or a chef, and so it's just assumed that those people will take on those roles, but that definitely should not be the case, where because someone does math for a living, they therefore take care of all of the taxes and the bills. It's something I think is bonding to be able to do together, just like maybe cooking together and grocery shopping together. But when you both suck at math, you really need to figure out who does these things.
And finally, one of the last things about being 5 years into marriage, and something that we've definitely learned over those last 5 years, is that there's no such thing as a marriage expert. Marriage is kind of a moving target. The expectations change, how you interact with one another, that tends to shift as you grow together and as you grow as individuals as well. There's no real expert that's got it all figured out.
Cookie cutter way of going about marriage.
Yeah, definitely. I didn't press record because we've got it all figured out. This is just things that people didn't tell us or prepare us for, that we've kind of had to learn on the fly. And I think that's what a lot of marriage is anyway, is just learning on the fly. And the longer that you stick it out, the longer that you work on it, the longer that you work on yourself, better adaptable you become, better at adapting you become, both as an individual and as a couple.
That's something that really helped me, was to compete with each other to try to outserve the other person. And so if you want to be better at your spouse at something, don't rub it in their face that you're the better cook or you're constantly working at the office and need to be repaid in some way, but try to better yourself by trying to beat them and outserving them.
Tell us what you've learned along the way in your marriage that people didn't quite prepare you for, and let us know down in the comments what that is. Well, I think we went over quite a bit. Do you feel like we were helpful?
I hope so. Let us know.
If you found this video helpful, be sure to hit the like button. And if you want to see more videos like this, because I think that Kirsten will definitely be in a lot more videos, then subscribe and hear all of the great, wonderful marriage tips, tricks, and I'm glad you're here for this part, because this is my least, I don't know how to end these videos.
That's all, folks. I do finger guns a lot. That's what I do a lot. Thanks for tuning in. We look forward to hearing from you. That's a podcast voice.